Hi, my name is Bregje and I am the proud owner of Estona Tutorials. Estona is a company based in the Netherlands, hence the accent, which I founded about 5 years ago. I started out with metalsmithing shortly after the birth of our third child, and I really wanted to find something to do in my spare time just for me. So metalsmithing it was, and if I would have known what a wonderful hobby it is, I would have started years ago. Because I really love all the techniques, tools and just being able to create something with my bare hands. After several years of making jewelry, I made a promotional video for my website and I quite like the filming and editing process, so another promo followed shortly. And to make a long story short, that was the beginning of my YouTube channel. I post videos once or twice a week depending on whatever goes on at home and where I am needed. And the videos I make are mostly jewelry making tutorials. There is an occasional tool review and I have even posted an entire metalsmithing course for beginners. What I think makes my channel stand out is that I post all my videos for free, so no links back to a site where you have to pay to watch more. All my videos are full tutorials out there for everyone to watch and again for free. So if you are interested, please look up Estona Jewelry and Tutorials on YouTube and you should be able to find my channel. But enough about me. Today I get to present this guest tutorial at Kernowcraft. Hannah contacted me a couple of months ago and asked me if I would like to make a tutorial for the Kernowcraft community. Of course, I didn't have to think about it at all. I am absolutely honored to do so. She sent me a couple of rose-cut garnets, which are absolutely stunning to use for a tutorial. And ta-da! Here we are. I used the garnets to make these silver and gold earrings, and I think they turned out lovely. So if you would like to see how these earrings are made, sit back, get yourself a cup of coffee and just enjoy the video. So Kernowcraft sent me these 2 rose-cut garnets, and as you can see, these are beautiful and I am going to turn them into a pair of earrings. But first things first, before I start, I always inspect my stones, and here you can see, for instance, that this one is a bit lower than this one. That's not a problem at all because I am going to make the bezels by hand, but you do want to check this because otherwise maybe you would think, hey, I can make 2 exactly the same bezels, but you can't, so always check out the stone first. I always like to use whatever I have laying around and I always have a very small bit of scrap silver or gold. I think gold would really complement the color of these garnets, and now I can use this little scrap piece of gold that is going to give me a bit more work to get it nicely, or I can just roll out a piece of wire like this. But why do things the easy way if you can also pick the hard way? I am going to cut this one in half, and that will be high enough for both my bezels. At least I hope it will. Always lubricate your saw blade. You can do so with something like this from Pepe Tools, the Pepe Lube, but you can just use a candlestick as well. I am going to file this until I have a nice straight edge to start out with. The gold is quite hard, so I need to anneal it to be able to shape it or to bend it in shape. If you want to learn more about annealing or how it's done, I am using methylated spirits for this, for instance. Check out my channel and you can see exactly how and why I anneal and what I think is the best way to do so. And I'll keep moving my flame around so I can clearly see when this is becoming red hot, because a thin strip like this is easily melted. And I know I'm close to the melting point here. I'll pick it up and place it in the methylated spirits. I am going to put these in the pickle solution so that they are nice and clean and we can continue. And this is how it's looking after I got it out of the pickle solution, and I did one more thing. I thinned it out a bit on my rolling mill. When making a bezel in silver, I like the thickness to be about 0.6 or 0.7 millimeters, and this one is 0.4 millimeters thick. And that's because gold is a bit harder and otherwise I can't shape it. There are multiple ways to shape your bezel. For instance, you can use these pointed nosed pliers, but I have these jump ring pliers. This top part here is exactly the same size as my stone, so I am going to use this to shape my bezel. So there's nothing more to it than this. And even though I did just anneal by putting this through the rolling mill, it has hardened already, and you can see when it happens, when you do something and everything just bounces right back. So before I continue, I have to anneal again. And if I would bend this over now, it will maintain its shape and it doesn't bounce back. So I'm going to throw this in the pickle solution once more and then we can continue. And the small test fit teaches us that there is too much room here. So now I have the basic shape and I can come in here with my pointed nosed pliers to get a tighter fit. And I think this is just okay, and we are going to round this out after soldering it. And instead of cutting this with my saw, I am going to use this end cutter. I am going to solder these with hard gold solder. And before I am going to add the solder, I'm going to add some borax in here. That's the flux that I use. And I am going to heat this up until everything is nice, white and bubbly. And when I see the boraxine starting to change its structure like it is now, then I know that my piece is hot enough to add the solder. And I don't know where I left my soldering pick, so I am going to do it like this. And it's a very thin bezel, so be really careful. And here we have the two basic shapes that are going to become the bezels for my earrings. I am going to pickle these before I can continue. I have this very small jump ring mandrel here, and I am going to use this to round out the bezel shape. And that should do it for this one. And let's round out the second one as well. And now let's see if they are going to fit. And here you can see how nicely the bezel fits the stone. We can continue by sanding down the bottom of the bezel and soldering it on to a back plate. And instead of going for a gold backplate, I am going to make it in silver. And that is because I really like the look of black and silver in combination with gold. And it is a much cheaper alternative. So it's a way to make nice, luxurious jewelry for just a fraction of the price. I am going to start out by heating up the backplate, because this is much thicker and heavier than the bezels, so it will need a lot more heat. And I'm going to coat it in borexine. And when it's heating up, I am going to add the bezels, and I am going to add them with the sanded side on the bottom, so that this will connect perfectly without any gaps. And I'm just going to add a bit more borexine. And if you are wondering why I'm using this much borexine or this much flux, I have all different types of videos on my channel, and there you can really see me explaining just about everything, from connecting gold to silver, soldering temperatures, again why I use borexine and why I use it in this amount, and so on. And when everything is up to temperature, I am going to add hard silver solder on the inside of the bezel. And I am placing the solder on the inside of the bezels so that it doesn't run over on the outside, where I want the main color to be gold, obviously. And as you can see, I am moving my flame around a bit, taking it off at moments where I see that the gold is going to overheat. And I'm just going to let this one cool by air, then I'll grab myself a cup of coffee, throw this one in the pickled solution, and after that we are going to cut them out. This came out of the pickle solution, and I'm going to check with my magnifiers to see if everything is nicely closed up and there aren't any gaps anymore. And this is looking okay, so I can cut them out. And now all I need is a lot of patience, and I need to be very careful not to touch the bezel edge with my saw blade. It's time to clean up the edges. I am using a large flat-handed file, and I am using a large file because this is much more stable. And I'm just going to round this out, being very careful, again, not to touch the bezel wall. I'll clean up the bottom just a bit with a 240 grit sanding paper. And we are going to clean up the sides. And this is finally starting to look like something. I am going to drill a hole here in the back, and I am going to do so for two reasons. First off, because that will give me a better soldering joint. It will be more durable as opposed to when I would just place the earring post on top of the silver. And secondly, it is quite convenient because when there is a hole in there, I can just fit my stone and pop it right out if I'm not too happy about how it is looking. There is a very easy way to mark the center of a circle. Just grab your metal dividers, place one end on the side of your bezel and make a little mark with the other end. Turn it, do the same. Turn it again, and again from this side. And now in the exact middle here, there lies the center of my circle. I am going to mark this with my scribe tool. I just clamped the bezel in this miter vise jig. It's a really helpful tool to hold your pieces in. I did make a video on it, so just look it up on YouTube if you are interested. Now I'm going to take out a ball burr and make a small indentation here so we can drill a hole. So this is a very small lubricated ball burr. And that is looking just right. And I am using this ball burr to make this small indentation, so when I start drilling, my drill doesn't slip away and it will drill right down exactly where I want it to go. On to the drilling. My earring post is going to be about 1 millimeter thick, so I have a 0.9 millimeter drill, so I really have to force the earring post in there, and then I don't have to hold it for soldering. Keep your drill straight up, support it with your fingers. I am going to support it with this hand as well. And I am gently going to turn it on. We are about ready to try and fit our stone, but As you can see, there is a little soldering blob in there. I am going to take it away before I test fit my stone in there. I am going to do so with a small ball burr. And I hope you can see that it's completely gone. So imagine that you place your stone onto the silver, and then I have to make sure that the metal is just a bit above this point so I can fold it over. So I can take off about a millimeter, and then it should be good to go. And I think we are ready for a test fit. This is a bit too tight. So I should have given myself a bit more room while forming the bezel. Ooh. And this is really what my channel is all about. You will see me making things, discovering that things aren't working like the way I planned, and then you can see me how to fix things. And I think that is really helpful because these things will happen to you as well. So let's give this stone a bit more room so that it will fit in here. I have these mandrels here, a thicker one and a thin one, and they both have a slit in here in which you can put some sanding paper, roll it up, and you can use it for sanding. And this big one fits in here like a charm. So I am going to add some sanding paper, and then we can sand it evenly on all sides together. I made sure that the sanding paper was straight. Normally you don't have to do it, but I really want it nice and tidy. I am going to roll it up. And now this should fit in my bezel. Let's see if this will work. Let's see if this did the trick. And you can see this just pops right in there. And let's see if we can wiggle in this earring post. Again, the post is 1 millimeter thick and the hole we made is 0.8. So if you can't get it in there, just open it up a bit more. But the tighter it's in there, the more easier it will be for you to solder. I'm going to make life a bit easier for myself. I'm just going to add some soldering paste here. That's a flux with a solder already incorporated. I am using a hard solder. And let's light it up. Keep your flame focused on the bigger piece. And when you can see something turning red, take off your flame. And that's it. I am going to let this cool by air because I want it to harden, but I did want to talk to you about the little earring post here. In this tutorial, I will be using this ready-made earring post with the backing. The reason why I am not going to make this myself is because this set will cost me 90 euro cents. So for that money, I just can't go sit and make it on my own. While this one was in the pickle solution, I did exactly the same for the other earring, but luckily there the stone did fit, so I didn't have to make as many adjustments. You can see here that the earring post is sticking out a little bit. Let's remove that, clean it up and set our stone. Let's drop this one in here. Now I do have to be careful because I can't poke it out anymore. And let's set this beauty. I put some protoplast in very hot water, and as you can see, the protoplast will turn soft and you can move it around when it's hot, but when it cools down it will solidify and it will become very hard. And this is what I used here. I secured my earrings in the protoplast so that while I'm setting the stone I don't disrupt the earring post or break it off. So everything is nicely protected. I am going to use a hammer and a punch to set my stones. I am going to start from this side and gently tap down the edge in about a 45-degree angle. Then I'm going in on this side and this side, and only when my stone is secure I will round out the movement and tap it down all together. And of course I am being really careful not to touch the stone. I heated up the protoplast and placed my earrings in here again, just to give myself a bit more room around the edges. I have tapped all 4 corners down, as far as you can speak of corners with a round one. And now I am going to tap down the bezel all around in a 45-degree angle. Everything is tapped down nicely in a 45-degree angle, and now I am going to place my punch a bit more upright. But I really have to be careful because with this rose-cut garnet there are some pieces of the stone sticking out more than they usually do. So I am only going to touch what I can see. And maybe I should just leave it like it is, but I normally always do this and I am a creature of habit. It is a bit out of character for me, but I thought I would just quit with tapping the bezel down while I was still ahead. Maybe ruining a perfectly good stone this week had something to do with it. It's time to clean these up and I think they are going to look lovely. Final move, let's polish these and burn my fingers while we're at it. I'm taking a hard brush, using it with a black compound. Turning on the machine will help. And I'm going to start polishing. And do make sure, if you are going to polish a stone like this, that your stone can take this, because with a very soft stone you really have to make sure not to touch it. But I know that I can with this garnet. After this step I will continue with this cotton brush and the black compound as well. And the final step is this wool pad with a light compound. And this is looking nicely. I am going to clean this up, and you can do so by just using some water, dishwasher soap and a baby toothbrush. And then I'm going to blacken it with some patina, and the gold will remain nice and shiny and the silver will turn black, and I really like that look. Adding patina to a piece is really easy. I do have to say, you can see here my patina isn't the best anymore, so I have to replace it. This is the back part of my earring, and I'm just going to dunk it in there. And just let it sit for a moment. Something is happening, but it is taking some extra time. And again, I know that a garnet can take this, but don't just drop any stone in there. When you're happy with your result, simply rinse it under some running water. As you can see, the patina really blackened the silver, but it dulled it up a bit as well. That's normally the case when you use patina. Instead of polishing it, which will remove too much of the patina, I am going to throw this in my tumbler and just wait until you see the final result. And here they are, just look at that gorgeous sparkle. The gold contrasting with the black. I really like how they turned out. And it's all about the stones. Just take a look at that sparkle. These garnets really are beautiful. And I really love how the gold and the black and silver complement the color. So as far as I am concerned, it's mission accomplished. But of course I would love to know what you think of them. And that was it. I hope you liked watching this tutorial. The garnets were absolutely lovely to work with, and Hannah pointed out that they have a lot more where that came from at Kernowcraft.com. So if you are interested, just look them up online. Seeing as how you are already on their page, you should be good to go. I am going to browse around myself as well, because you can never have too many gemstones, or tools for that matter, but maybe it's a metalsmithing thing. So to all of you Kernowcraft viewers and visitors, thank you so much for watching this guest tutorial. It was really nice to make a video for you, and it's always fun to meet a new crowd. Again, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you are interested in watching more of them, feel free to look me up on YouTube. You can find me at Estona Jewelry and Tutorials. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again soon.